Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel, Fantasy Lorenzo.
Wait, what did you say?
Fantasy Lorenzo.
Have a good one.
You guys better subscribe and watch my friend on his YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of the 1996 slasher film, Scream.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this?
You tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
So I want to know who I'm looking at.
Someone is playing a deadly game.
It all began with a scream over 911.
Someone who's seen one too many scary movies. Now he's taken his love of fear
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
one step too far.
Do you like scary movies?
What's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a scary movie. Number one, you can never have sex. Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. Get another beer, you want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back.
He didn't make the rules.
Police are always on track, but they watch prom night at same time.
He just kills by them. Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door. Don't try to hide.
Everybody, the suspect!
You're not scared, are you?
Scream.
Of course, directed by Wes Craven. Besides Nightmare on Elm Street, this is probably his biggest and most recognized film that he had in his career. And well, it's debatable. You know, I feel like there are a ton of people that have watched Scream. There's a ton of people that have watched Nightmare on Elm Street, but I don't know. I feel like Nightmare's kind of the one that kicked him off for sure. Obviously, because this one came over over 10 years later. This one came out in 1996, ironically, when I was born. 22 now, and I think it's about time I talked about this movie. Because I'll admit I had seen bits and pieces of it over the years, but for some reason I was just never interested in the Scream movies because they've been parodied by like Scary Movie, and I guess I thought I just seen stuff like this before. But what I didn't realize was just how perfected this movie actually was. I kept talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, and maybe it's not Freddy Krueger to me. At least personally, but Scream, I think, at least the first one, we'll see how the sequels are, but Scream itself, I think, is by far one of the best slasher movies I've ever seen. And I feel bad that I left it off of my top horror movies list. I made a comment on that video, I'm telling you now, it'd probably be within around 15 to number 17 on the list somewhere of my all-time favorite horror movies already. But yeah, it's It's almost masterful with the way they, basically, just in general, the way the whole movie is. I mean, they know how to build suspense. There's a good amount of violence. A really good cast. It's really well written. It's self-aware. It makes fun of itself. Still kind of falls into its own cliches, but, you know, that's both on purpose and not on purpose. You know, I think it also has one of the best opening scenes of any horror movie, especially slasher movie I've seen in a while. You have Drew Barrymore in this. Of course, you know, she's a fairly big name, so when she was cast in it, when people see her in the story, they think, oh, okay, you know, she's the character you're rooting for, you don't gotta worry about her. But then they, of course, kill her off in the opening scene in pretty brutal fashion. It's not like a rushed thing either. It's it lasts at least like 10-15 minutes, I want to say. I could be wrong. But yeah, what's cool about that though, you know, Drew Barrymore is a significant name. You know, she's maybe not like huge, but you know, she's significant enough to think, okay, yeah, she's probably a star of this movie. But what's cool is that she actually was really willing to play this character that gets killed in the opening, whereas she probably could have had the lead role. But she actually saw that this could actually serve the movie well if she gets killed early on, you know, sort of trying to establish that idea of anyone could go, or we don't really know what's going to happen here. And I think that really works well. And it's really cool of her, because there are a lot of actors and actresses that wouldn't do something like that. They'd want to have like the main role, and they wouldn't be willing to sort of just take a back seat for the sake of a movie and its integrity, but she was. You know, so I think the whole opening sequence is great. Like I said, it's been parodied a lot, but when you watch it on its own, it's really well done. You know, just the suspense built up from the phone calls. She actually thinks it's a guy, you know, kind of flirting with her, kind of getting along. It'll be kind of nice, weirdly, I don't know. And it just gets steadily creepier and creepier. You get a little bit more unnerved yourself. And of course, you see the ghost face masks around all the time now, no matter you know, what year of Halloween you're seeing. But still, you know, creepy in the way they shoot whoever it is under the mask running around. It's done in a way where you don't really get to, I guess, see too much of them. And then, yeah, it's still kind of funny because, you know, it's still just a guy, so when he gets hit or knocked down, you hear him go, yeah! You know, so it really makes fun of itself and just sort of the genre, too. And like I said, it came out in 1996, and this is at a pretty low point for, you know, horror movies, but especially slasher-type movies. There have been, you know, numerous sequels by this point to, you know, other franchises. But Scream really revitalized the genre, I think. Again, sort of being you know, self-aware of itself and what kind of genre it is, but also breathing new life into it in a genuine way as well. And besides Drew Barrymore on that opening, the rest of the cast is really good. I especially like Neve Campbell. She is probably now one of my favorite final girls of like any slasher movie. I think she did a really good job. And then you also have Skeet Ulrich, who a lot of people know from you know, like Riverdale nowadays. He's really good on that. But he also did a show in the 2000s called Jericho, which is good but short-lived. But yeah, he's perfect in this, and you also have him and you know, Matthew Lillard, who I think Matthew Lillard is a very talented actor himself. A lot of people know him as you know, Shaggy from the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. He's also one of my personal favorite comedies of all time, without a paddle. But you know, he has a lot of charisma and energy to him as an actor, so it's good to see him here as well. And you also have David Arquette in it. And then the actress who plays the news reporter, Gail Weathers, Courtney Cox, of course. You also have Rose McGowan. So yeah, really stacked cast. You even have Liev Schreiber as Cotton Wary, who is supposedly framed for the death of Neve Campbell's mother in the movie. You know, of course, her name is Sydney, and that looks to be playing a part in the sequel, so we'll see how that goes, but we still get a little glimpse of Liev Schreiber in it anyway. But yeah, so really one of the best cast of any, you know, slasher movie I've seen. Everyone does a good job. Lillard and Ulrich sometimes are a little bit over the top, but I think that's, obviously on purpose. And they do a really good job, whether they're trying to be almost kind of likable or just creepy and psychotic. They do a really nice job there. And the mystery is, pretty good. Like I said, I had seen bits and pieces of it before, so I kind of knew that it was them going in, unfortunately. But at the same time, if you watch the movie, they're not totally trying to hide it. I mean, they do try to make you think that maybe Skeet Ulrich's character is innocent. When he actually gets arrested and everything, they play on that a little bit. But you can tell the way they act, there's definitely something off about him. Especially Matthew Lillard's character, he's just a complete dick throughout the whole movie. But really, even when it's obvious, if something simple is just well put together and just sort of portrayed well, whether you know it's coming or not, you can still appreciate how good it is with what it's doing. And I think Scream is a prime example of that as well. And it kind of plays on your emotions with a couple other characters too. Like I said, Courtney Cox's character, Gail Weathers, she appears to be kind of stuck tight and just wanting her story no matter what. But then you sort of get to like her and David Arquette's little dynamic. They develop, their flirtation and everything. And I love Skeet Ulrich, I love Matthew Lillard, but again, I think the true highlight of this movie was Neve Campbell. She just really was great with showing her emotions in this movie. Being scared, but she also kind of stands up to the who's ever Ghostface in this movie as well. And the way she ends up eventually putting a stop to it at the end, I think is actually pretty harrowing. The way she ends up sort of turning the tables on with the phone call at the end, and just being able to put on the mask and everything and taking him down, I thought was pretty good. But yeah, there's very little wrong with this. It was also written by Kevin Williamson, who's known for Dawson's Creek, but he also had a hand in writing, especially the first 2 seasons of The Vampire Diaries, one of my favorite shows ever. So I can definitely see his touch with this one. And I also really like the soundtrack in this as well. It's pretty good, and the cast. I keep talking about the cast, but they just had really good chemistry together. I think it was definitely the highlight. And it's self-awareness, and there's also plenty of references in this movie to some of Wes Craven's other work. You get plenty of mentions of Freddy Krueger. You even get talks of Friday the 13th and Jason, Michael Myers, Halloween, and everything. I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but you see Sidney go into the hallway at one point, and you see his janitor. He's wearing a Christmas sweater and a hat like Freddy Krueger. That was Wes Craven cameoing in his own movie, right? Because it definitely looked like him. But yeah, I really enjoy this movie. The first Scream, anyway, is everything you'd really want it to be, and it's definitely one of the very best of its genre for sure. Which is why I'm giving it an A-. I almost want to bump it up to an A, but I'm at least giving it an A-, definitely no lower. So yeah, and a lot of it is suspenseful, but there's also a good amount of violence and a fair amount of gore, for people who are looking for that as well, I think, without going too overboard, but still pretty brutal a couple times throughout, so yeah. Well, anyway, guys, think about Scream, and without going too far into spoilers, how do you think the sequels hold up? You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.